أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له أيتها الأخوات أيها الأخوة أحييكم بتحية الإسلام تحية من عند الله مباركة طيبة السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Once again, alhamdulillah, it's an honor to be here again, and as you know, every time I come here, I give a speech, but in fact, as you know, the relationship between Dr. Muzammil Siddiqui, even Dr. Abdullah Idris, who were people who were in touch with my father, rahimahullah rahmatan wasi'ah, and I come more as a student who is trying his best to learn and to do what they have been doing and to carry on in the footsteps of those who help us to understand our religion and to understand how important it is to remain faithful to the Islamic principles in the West, as well, of course, as in Muslim majority countries. In the light of the Quran, how we can deal with the contemporary challenges, that's a very good question. It's a very good way of putting it, in fact. Because it comes back to our understanding. What we have to do as Muslims and what we understand is that the revelation is the light through which we look at the world. And we have always to come back to the Quran. But in fact, there is something that in philosophical terms we'd call a dialectical process. You read the Quran to be able to live in the world, and you face the world in order to come back to the Quran and to read it in a new way. You always have to renew your understanding of the Quran, because if the Quran has been revealed over 23 years, in a very specific period of time, there are eternal principles that are transhistorical, beyond history. And there are things that we haven't, the first generations didn't understand the way we understand them. It's with time and through cultures and through his new knowledge that we come back to the verses and says, okay, this might be another understanding. And as I said once when I was here, we understand that anyone who comes to you telling you you need to reform Islam, we should stop him or her. Islam doesn't need reform. What we need to reform is our reading and understanding of the eternal scriptural sources. So we need to reform the Muslim minds, and we do not reform Islam. So how do we do this is in which way today we look at the world and we see contemporary challenges. And because we face these challenges, we come back to the Quran, and here, trusting Allah, and this is the very meaning, tawakkul ala Allah, means we know that when he's saying, وَمَا فَرَّطْنَا فِي الْكِتَابِ مِنْ شَيْءٍ, there is nothing that is missing in the book. It means that with the way you have to read the Quran, with your two faculties, the first is your intelligence, is your intellect, but not only. The Quran is not a book you read only with your mind, it's a book you read with your heart. And this is where Allah is talking about the people who don't understand. لَهُمْ قُلُوبٌ لَا يَفْقَهُونَ بِهَا. They have hearts, they don't understand. Well, لَا يَفْقَهُونَ, there is al-fiqh here, is the very meaning of deep understanding. Deep understanding of the text. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking to us beyond history, telling us in history, come to me to find your answers in history with an eternal book. So this book is transhistorical, but it's for your mind to get to the transhistorical, to get the historical answers. Can we just leave the light? I like to see the people. So that's the way. No clapping, and if not, it's as if we were in another setting. Anyway, so this is where I think it's important for us to understand in which way we have to come to the Quran and in which way we look at the world. But as you understand, we're just speaking about this. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is calling the Prophet, ﷺ, and he's telling him from the very beginning, you know that the Prophet ﷺ was doing what? Was looking for an answer. When he reached 35 years, he started to go to Ghar Hira to try to get an answer. He was not happy with the answers that he got from Ahl Yathrib. He was not happy with, not Yathrib, Ahl Quraysh. He was not happy with that. So he was looking. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called him. And through Jibreel alayhi salam, he told him, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اقرأ باسم ربك. Read. And what we understand here is two things. In fact, he will ask him to read the two revelations. The first one is the one coming from Jibreel alayhi salam, and the second one is the one which is in front of him, the world. Read the world by the revelation coming to your mind. Meaning, in fact, that the book is telling you the world in front of you is not here by accident. وَمَا خَلَقْنَا هَذَا بَاطِلًا. It's not by accident. Meaning there are objectives. And you know that when you read, there is something that has to come out of your reading, the meaning. So the way you read the Quran, you need to get the meaning. So every book has a grammar for you to have a structure, a semantic to get the meaning, and a purpose to get the message. It's exactly the same with the world. The world is in front of you, get the grammar. You know that it's coming back to Allah, this is the message. Read it to get the meaning. And it means what? Al-ayat al-Qur'aniyya. They are going to speak about al-ayat al-kawniyya. Meaning, the world has science, and the text is coming with science. Al-ayat. And with this, you are in between with your mind to get the meaning of the revealed, the creation, in order to get the meaning of the text. Who is instrumental in all that? The human beings. And this is why Allah, when He's sending Jibreel alayhi salam with the text, is telling us your faithfulness to the text. Meaning your faithfulness to Allah is use your mind in the right way with the light of your heart. This is the way we have to understand that the human agencies, everything is not to be close to Allah without your mind, is to close to Allah with your mind, with your heart, with your understanding. You are a human being and you have to assume your status. And your status is based on karamat al-insan. وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمْ means this karama, this dignity is based on two things. If you come back to the Mufassirun, saying your freedom and your knowledge. Freedom because you are free. فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَؤْمِنْ فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ. You have the freedom to do this, but then عَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءِ. That it means you have to do this out of knowledge. With all this, what we should understand today is that we have to come back to these principles and to understand them, because these are answers to contemporary questions. The first one is the very meaning. All what I said is encapsulated, embodied in the very understanding of Tawheed, La ilaha illallah. The second is understood through the meaning of al-khilafa. Inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifa. Al-Khalifa is the vicegerence, is now in the name of Allah, what you have to do is to deal with the world, with your freedom, your knowledge, understanding the message, and being faithful to the objectives. This is Al-Khilafa. You don't have the ownership of the world. You are just trying to respond to a call and being faithful to the principle. So this is al-khilafah, it's important. And in everything that you do, you need to be balanced. And this is why in Surah Al-Rahman, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم, that you have Ar-Rahman, علم القرآن, خلق الإنسان, علمه البيان. What we have, الشمس والقمر بحسبان, والنجم والشجر يسجدان, والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان. الميزان. Meaning, be careful. Everything in your life has to do with balancing heart and mind. And then give, but not too much, as it was said. But give. By the way, tonight you give. Don't get me wrong. So the point here is everything in our life is based on this. Our dignity, it's always to try to control ourselves and no excess. And this is why we understand that we are the community of the middle path. Is ummatan wasata. So in everything, with our own personality, with everything, we are always saying yes, but with the limits that are showing that we are controlling. We are mastering ourselves. So this al-mizan here, it's essential. There is another word which is important here, which is what we had in this afternoon session, al-amana. Meaning that there is a trust that عَرَضْنَا الْأَمَانَةِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that He gave the trust to السَّمَوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَالْجِبَالِ, to everything. And they refused. And who took this? Human being. And our trust here, our understanding is that we need to understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, between us and Him, there is a mithaq al-asli. There is an agreement that we acknowledge that He is here, and everything that we are going to do is based on this trust, on this agreement, that we will try to fulfill the agreement, that we do everything respecting His will. And this is the very essence of Rida Allah, His satisfaction, that He will be happy with us, and that we will be out of this happy, Him being happy with us, will be happy with Him. So this is also an understanding of al-amana that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the world. سَخَّرَ لَكُم مَا فِي السَّمَوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. He gave you all this, but with one condition. You have to care about that. You have to respect the gift. You have to respect the gift. And get it right. I don't want to use the Quran only by trying to find solutions to some problems. It's a philosophy. It's a way of life and death. So you need to get the big picture, and then you enter through this big picture. This is the light. This is the way you look at the world. التوحيد والخلافة التوازن والأمانة. And all this is based on this understanding in which way we have to respond to the call of Allah. And then all this is also based on a very important concept also, al-adala, justice. The third thing that you have coming from Adam and from the very beginning, it's also Allahumma zalamna anfusana. We have been unjust, unfair with our own self. So we have to get this justice. It's all a question of balance. And then you come to contemporary problems. Say, with all that, and you understand that the first thing that you are facing as a problem is a very deep problem of today. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, and with this, ظَلَمْنَا أَنفُسَنَا means what? It means that we have been unfair. Look at the world today. In which way you, yourself, today, in the United States of America and your fellow citizens, you might be unfair with your own self? How? In a way where you don't take enough time. You know, very often I finish my teaching with my students by telling them two things. First, take care of yourself. No, seriously, not take care of yourself, salamu alaikum. Take care of yourself. One day, you will come back to Allah. I don't say this. I say, take care of yourself. And the second, don't forget to tell the people you love that you love them. Meaning what? Listen to your heart and listen to their heart. And one of the most important problems that we are facing today is a psychological problem. It's a problem of love, it's a problem of heart, it's a problem of psychology, and that meaning we don't take enough time for ourselves. We don't take enough time. And the Quran is exactly this. Why do we have to read the Quran every day? Why do you read the Quran? To be with whom? To be with Him, it means to be with yourself. When you read the Quran, you talk to Allah and you talk to yourself. And this al-qara'a ta'abbudiyya, meaning I'm reading the Quran to get my heart lifted, means what? I talk to myself. I'm listening to my heart. My heart is talking. Take time. Take time for yourself. Take time with yourself. Care about your heart. Care about this exile from the world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said it to the Prophet ﷺ from the very beginning. وَهْجُرْهُمْ هَجْرًا جَمِيلًا. Exile, a kind of exile. So Al-Quran for today is telling you, if you are not going to take time to think about Him, meaning to think about you, you will end up like them, forgetting yourself because you forgot Him. وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ نَسُوا اللَّهَ فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ. أَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ means what? They forget about themselves. Which is the consequence of what? They forgot God. They forgot Allah. It was not there. So this is a very important first challenge that we have today, which is take care of yourself. And the Quran is telling us this from the first message is take time. And it was revealed to the Prophet ﷺ when he was taking care of himself, looking for the truth. And Jibril came alayhi salam at that moment. So it means for every one of us that we should not transform Islam into a set of rules, but into a universe of meaning, and the first meaning is your heart, your mind, and your body. And when I'm saying take care of yourself, I'm not only saying, my heart and my psychology. The Prophet ﷺ was pushing the people also to think about your body. It's not going from Socrates that you have a sound soul in a sound body. It's very Islamic. In fact, Socrates was saying before Islam something which was a very Islamic proverb. You need to take care of your own body. And one of the first questions that you will have coming back to Allah, what have you done with the body I gave you and you were the vicegerent? Because your body is not yours. I gave it to you and to see. So this is why I don't understand some people who today still think that you can smoke and you can come to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala one day and say, I took care of myself. Tell me how you do that while smoking. Anyway, that's another question, which is the central question. So this is something which has to do with this intimate message, this essential message that we have here about the way we have to deal with ourselves. Have you read a book called Emotional Intelligence? Goleman, who wrote this book? In the book that I wrote, The Quest for Meaning, I came back to this book because it's a very important one. And in fact, he is going through contemporary psychology, explaining how you need to have an intelligence of your emotion. What is the very essence of the Islamic message? Master your emotion. When the Prophet ﷺ is saying, La taghdab means master your emotion. Imsik alayka lisanak, master your emotion. Zuyyina linnas, hubb shahwat, master your desires and your instincts. Why is it that the Muslims today We have a very, very deep problem with our own emotions. Anyone who wants to play today with the Muslims, we are going to push them into something which is, yes, we'll get you through emotions. Of course, we are not happy when people are ridiculing our message or the Prophet ﷺ. But is it the right answer to be emotional? No. Wisdom. And what is wisdom? Wisdom means master your emotion. Live by your principles, but not by your instincts. Live by your principles, not by your sentiments. Your sentiments, you put them the right place. You know what is wisdom? Wisdom is put the right thing at the right place. Don't be rational with your wife or your husband, but don't be emotional with your enemy. You get that? With your wife, your husband, your kids, emotions, love, tenderness, give. With the enemy and with the people who want to make you fall into the trap, rational. Master your emotion. This is wisdom. So this is Islam, al-hikmah. Al-khayr al-kathir. This is what we have in the Quran. This is what we have to understand. The very meaning of al-hikmah here is that we master. So this is where the Quran is telling us today, this is one of our main challenges that you need to get. The second thing is about communication and our education. Is something that also is missing, that we are very, very always we speak about family and that we have to protect the family. That's very essential in Islam. But how do you protect family today? Family today is a jihad. To keep a family today in our societies is a jihad. But if you come back to the Quran and you understand that even in the Quran, about weaning, for example, the Quran is وَإِنْ أَرَادَ فِصَالًا عَنْ تَرَادٍ مِّنْهُمَا أَوْ تَشَاوُرٍ. So even for that, for your kids, for weaning, there is a shura between the wife and between the husband. Meaning you want to keep your family, you better talk. You better communicate. You get me? Don't talk outside the family about the greatness of family. A family is a jihad, and the first battlefield for this jihad is communication between the two. Talk to your wife, talk to your husband, talk to your kids. And you have another understanding here is Luqman. Do you know what is the main crisis within the family today? You know what the psychologists are saying? The absent father. Isn't it that the father is not there? It's only here for authority. If you are not going to do this, I'm going to tell you, father. But the father is not there for communication, which is the opposite of Surah Luqman. Who is talking in Surah Luqman? Who is talking to the son? Luqman is the father talking to his son. The father is there in this education. So this is where the fathers, if you read the Quran, should understand, don't tell the families, my wife and my kids, I go outside, I make money, and there is no communication. Communication between the two, communication within. This is where the jihad of our families today is about education, is about the role, coming back to the essential role. And by the way, to everybody or anyone who is telling you, you know what, we are progressive Muslims, we have to be progressive. I'm sorry, there are things that I want to be a conservative. I want to be a conservative to some principles. And I think that my understanding of the way I'm resisting this modern world is to be conservative in many of these principles. One of them is I'm not going to pay the price of family for the sake or for showing how progressive we are with our world. Family is essential, but saying this, it means that within the family we come to the principles of communication, listening to one another. The Prophet ﷺ was listening to his wives. And you know this, Khadija, Salama. So these are things that we know that happen. So if we come back to the Quran, we understand how much it was important. وَإِذْ قَالَ لُقْمَانُ لِابْنِهِ وَهُوَ يَعِظُهُ يَا بُنَيَّ لَا تُشْرِكْ بِاللَّهِ. He's talking to his son, the father. And in our communities today, in our world, within the Muslim families and outside the Muslim families, the problem is the role of the parents and the role of the father and the mother. We are talking a lot about it's very difficult to be a woman today in the Muslim community, and I keep on repeating, it's very difficult to be a man. It's very difficult to be a father. There is a deep crisis of fatherhood in our community. And if you come back to the Quran, we have to come back to this. Now we can pretend that I am saying things that are not true. Come to the reality and look at the reality today. Now, very quickly, 2 or 3 other things that are important when it comes to our contemporary challenges today is something that we are not very much talking about. We talk about problems of environment, and I will come to this, and these are contemporary problems. There is something that we are not talking about, and if you come back to the Islamic tradition, not only, by the way, very often people are saying it's going from the philosophers, from Al-Farabi, Al-Kindi, and later Miskawayh, the Sufi tradition. They were very often talking about something which is very important, and in fact, it's deep. And those among the schools of law and thought were talking about this were those who insisted on one word which is essential. When you have understanding the rule, al-fiqh, Islamic law and jurisprudence, you have a central word which is al-maslaha. Maslaha is the public interest. And the public interest is what? Is also connected to a very deep understanding, 2 things that are here in Islam. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about what is right in a cultural setting, He's saying, al-ma'ruf, known by the people as being good. Maslahat in-nas is the public interest. Meaning what? If you think about what is known as being good and the public interest, means that our relationship to the rules is not the rules against the well-being, is the rules and the well-being, to feel good. In our communities today, if you come to the way the Quran is talking about this, you understand that there's something which is very deep, is that this message is not here to make you sad, to make you feel good. It's a question of balancing. When you do what you preach, when the values or the principles are in the light, or your deeds are in the light of your principles, you feel good. In Islam, we need to come to something which is the message of feeling good, something which has to do with happiness. Why this is essential? Because it is said today that this culture, this consumerist culture, entertainment and culture is all about feel good. You feel good like what? Forget yourself, listen to music, go to movies, feel good. And we need to resist something which is feel good at any price. We want to feel good with principles and elevation. So if you tell me, don't listen to music, movie, haram, everything is haram, I'm sorry, you are reducing my world to all these principles are to be respected and for me to feel bad. When it comes to the Quran, you understand, al-ma'ruf, al-aslu fil ashya al-ibaha, go ahead. The Quran is talking in a very positive way about what is coming out of the people. We are so scared of the people that we rely on the rules, and it's a universe of people under siege. Haram, haram, haram before you say halal. This is the very deep message of Islam. When you look at the words, when you look at this understanding of how the people were with, go ahead, ma'ruf. يسألونك ما أحل لهم قل أحل لكم الطيبات. الطيبات, that's good, go ahead. So today, if we want to be efficient within our families, if you want to be instrumental within our societies, if we want to be a contribution in the world today, we need to reconcile our message with feeling good, being good, and happiness. There is nothing wrong with feeling good in Islam. It's the other way around. It's not be demanding and feel bad. No, be consistent and feel good. This is very powerful as a message. We don't have a religion nurturing the sense of guilt. That's not true. Our religion is innocence and responsibility, feeling good. Knowing that if you do things that are bad, you have a tawbah. You come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and He will welcome you. Allah is welcoming you. Inna rahmati sabaqat ghadabi. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is merciful before being or punishing us in the way He will be unhappy with us. So this is also something which is a powerful spiritual message as Muslims, that we need to understand that this is also one of the great challenges of our time, is that at the end, I want to feel good. I want to live a life as a Muslim which is not based only on haram, on avoid this, avoid that. And you say to your children or to your, they are teenagers, stop this, stop that, don't do this. Okay, so where is the light? And this is where, in this world, the Quran is calling us through this understanding to be very, very involved and creative to find ways to deal with that. Now, there are three things that I want to add, just they are contemporary challenges, and we know this. There is the big crisis today, which has to do with our society. And as you know in the Quran, if you come back to the Quran, you understand that it's all based on education. So if you come back to the Quran, we need to celebrate education. But be careful, what is our contribution for today? You know that you are in danger, all of you here. All of you are in danger. You are in a school system, in a university system, which is all based on performance and money. So the public service, which is the schools, we should put money in schools to educate people to know what it means to be a good citizen and not to be somebody making money. You go to university, you have the most important in-depth system in the universities, and you have transnational corporations putting money in university, not because you want you to be educated, because they put money knowing that you will give back the money through your qualification and your degrees. You have to be very careful. Our way of dealing with education is not to make money, it's to make human beings. It's to make dignified human beings. Our education is for wisdom, it's not for power. This is it, this is Islam. It's not for financial power. So within the system, you have to be very cautious, not slightly accepting the system, telling your kids, get the degree, be a doctor, be successful. What is the meaning of success? The Quran is telling you the success is not about the money you have, it's the people you serve. Isn't it? It's not about the money you are getting, it's who you are serving. So everything, it's for us a new contribution in the field of education, in the way we deal within our families and within our schools, which is, I don't want Islamic schools doing exactly the same as the other schools and saying, oh, but you know what, we teach Quran. That's not enough. We teach not only Quran, we teach Islamic principles. We are educating human beings, knowing how to serve, not to be served. Looking at the degree as something that is giving them the competence to serve, the competence to give, the competence to share, not only to be successful and to have titles. which is also something that we need. When we come to the Quran and you look at all the messengers, all the prophets, peace be upon them all, you can see that they were serving, coming with the highest message and the more humble attitude. To educate, to get this humility, it's important in our world. So this is about education, but it's also about freedom. Freedom. You know, I was talking to people in Tunisia and in Egypt when they were starting just after the uprisings, and they say, how are we going to put together an Islamic message? In Tunisia, for example, they told me, now it's clear for us, freedom should come first. And you heard that some were even saying, freedom before Sharia. Because without freedom, no Sharia. So what does it mean, freedom? What does it mean? For us, freedom is something which is part of our dignity, but it's a responsibility. You are free, meaning you are responsible. You are accountable. So we need, how do we do this? It's today to have a big discussion on freedom. A big discussion on freedom, even in this society. Because some in our societies, some are free to say things and not other things. So there is a double standard with freedom. But for us, it's even deeper than that. We want to talk about the deep understanding of what to be free means. Is it to be free to act as you want, or to be free to think and to be who you want to be? Because some people say, I want to do what I want. This is my freedom. And sometimes you have to stop and say, are you sure that you want to do what you want to do? Are you sure that this is exactly what you want to do? Or are you following the people? Because it might be that this freedom is the freedom of the multitude, that you are following the numerous people. You do as they do and you think. So as these people in the suburbs that you have in the inner cities, even in the States here or in Europe, say, we are against the system. We don't like the system. This, hip hop and all these things. And you look at the way they dress. This is the system. Nike, all the transnational corporations, they sell to them and they come say, we are against the system. Welcome to the alienated minds. So we need to come with what is the meaning of freedom, because no Islam without a deep understanding of the free human being. But the real freedom, not the superficial. This is a deep discussion should come from the Quran, from the people saying, whatever you do, all the messengers, in the name of their freedom and their dignity, they face the people, say, I'm not going to let you do. Because our understanding of freedom is, I'm not going to let you do. Even if you are all against me, I'm with him. And my freedom is my dignity. I'm going to face you. I'm here to call for peace and dignity. You are here to call for alienation and power. So my power is to resist your alienated power. This is freedom. This is Islam. So at the end, ask yourself, are you agents of this understanding of Islam facing this contemporary challenge, which has to do with alienated freedom, alienated sometimes understanding of the way it means to be, what it means to be a human being. Deep understanding of the Quran. So this is what the Quran is telling you things about the way you have to be. The way you have to be to face the people. I remember once, rahimahullah, my father was telling me about the last surah of the Quran. I never forgot that. When he say, you know what? Read the last verses of the Quran. Qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas, malikin nas. 5 times you have nas, meaning be cautious with people. Trust him, not them. If you love people, don't trust them completely. Your love to people is not to trust. You know why? Because you don't trust yourself completely, don't you? And if you do, be careful. You should not trust yourself completely. You can do things that are horrible. You can be pushed to say and to do things that are unacceptable. So trust him and ask him to help you to be better. رحمتك نرجو اللهم لا تكلنا إلى أنفسنا طرفة عين. Don't let us. just for 1 second alone, be with us. Help us to be better. Because if you let us to ourselves, we can just destroy everything and ourselves first. So this is a third dimension which has to do with our education within this society, freedom, equality and justice even, all what we are saying, equality before law, be careful. We're talking this afternoon about the fact in this society, when you are black or when you are white, we have the same laws, but they are not implemented the same way. And this is not Islam. This is when you come to the Quran and it said, Ya ayyuhan nas, and understanding, wa min ayatihi, khalqu as-samawati wal ard, and then اختلاف ألسنتكم واختلاف ألوانكم. The fact that you have all these colors, all these languages, you are equal before God and you should be equal before law. This is the Quran. This is why you had Bilal alayhi salam. This is why you have these people coming from different areas. And this is something that when we come to the Quran, we need to understand that this is a very strong message about al-ukhuwa, al-insaniyya, wal-ukhuwa fillah. Meaning we have to understand this as a very strong message about equality. But not only this, be careful with something which is new now. This whole business about democracy and citizenship. I have been involved in this for the last 30 years. Talking about citizenship, and that's all good. But now you see things that are very dangerous. Which in fact, when you come back to the Quran is a mirror telling you, be careful. When the people are telling you, you know what, we are citizens and we have to be treated equally, it's as if the migrants, it's as if the non-documented people should and could be treated in a way which is not exactly as us. What is this? What is this? When you, and it's worldwide, by the way, worldwide. This is something which is called now the new slavery. In my continent, in Europe, what we see coming from Eastern Europe, what we see coming from poor countries in Eastern Europe, coming to Western Europe, and they are treated like nothing because they are not citizens. So it means that as you are not citizens, you are less human beings. In Burma, Myanmar, now, I was talking to someone who is a specialist, who was telling me the philosophy that you get from some extremist Buddhist monks is to say these people are no longer human beings, dehumanization of people. So it's citizenship for us, and let us treat them in a way which is non-acceptable. It happened with the Palestinians. It's happening in the United States, that the way you have the Latinos sometimes, the new migrants that are not with money, because the status is important, are treated in a way which is not acceptable. How come can we say us as citizens and then the residents or the migrants are treated in a way and no one is going to talk to them? While what we have in the Quran is telling you exactly the opposite. The opposite. Your humanity comes first. Is so much the case that even if I don't agree with what you do, I will never forget that Allah created you the way you are. I respect who you are in the name of God. What you do, I'm going to challenge that. But this is the message of the Quran that you need to get. It's very powerful. It's very powerful. And if you now, as Americans, you are led to act in a way where you respect the citizens and you forget the migrants, I'm sorry, you are not faithful to the message of the Quran. You are not. And if within the society you accept that there is a status for the poor, and a status for the rich, a status for the black, and a status for the white, you are not following in the footsteps of the Quranic message. You are not following the Prophet ﷺ. This is the message of Islam, which has to do with كُونُوا قَوَّمِينَ بِالْقِسْطِ شُهَدَاءَ لِلَّهِ, that you have to stand up for justice as witness of God's message. That this is something which is essential in our understanding. Last two point is the same, that we need also to deal with power. we don't really much to talk about power. We talk very often about politics, and we are involved in the discussion in the Middle East. But at the end, there is something that we need also to be. Power is everywhere. Don't try to avoid talking about power. Talk about power, but be clear about the way you talk about power. For us, power is a power to serve, and it's for us a service. It's not to take over, and it should be thought in that way. Unfortunately, today, very often, this understanding of power, we are involved. I have to finish. I will quickly. So what I wanted to say here is, very often, all this discussion about power, it's essential. We have a problem today, and we are dealing with where are the true centers of power. And it's always like this. We need to get this discussion. And when we come to the Quran, and when you say, for example, the very simple, we repeat this because we know this. بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم عبس وتولى أن جاءه الأعمى. The Prophet ﷺ, who was corrected by Allah when he neglected the poor old man coming to ask about the Quran, to deal with the powerful, thinking that the powerful are going to protect. I say, no, this is a lack of trust in Allah. The sincerity of the old man asking you about the Quran is more a protection than the power of the powerful. If only you look at things with your heart, not with your mind that is calculating how much power they have. So this trust in the true power here, it's very important. And sometimes we are misled by what is happening, that this is the power, which is, I don't have time, but read the story around Surah Al-Buruj, and you will see this magician that, anyway, I don't have time for that, but it's a great story where you can see the relationship to power. And we were talking today also about war. And if you come to the Quran, you understand something. Willing it or not, whatever the people are telling you, don't avoid, as Muslims, talking about war. Don't avoid talking about resistance. I don't like this new pacifist trend, say it's all about, we are non-violent Muslim. We are non-violent. But if you are going to oppress, if you are going to kill, if you are going to oppress the people, you will find us by the very name of Allah telling us resist, because this is the dignity of human being. And in fact, in history, the dignity in Europe, the dignity in this country was by the people who resisted, who are not saying we are peaceful. Yes, we are peaceful, but not at any price. We are peaceful with dignity. And if you want to talk about war, we are going to talk. There will be no war. There cannot be a war in Islam to get power, to get money, to colonize and to oppress. We are by definition against any type of this war. But the war to resist the oppressors, the war to say no to the people who want to colonize, who want to exploit, this is the dignity of human being. And we are ready to talk about this. It has to be said. And if, for example, we talk about Africans, or Palestinians, or Asian, or even poor people in this country resisting oppression, we are on their side, because the Quran is telling us, by definition, by essence, by faith, by the very meaning of Islam, you are on the side of the oppressed, always. No, that's very easy to clap. This is a message for life. And it means that you have to pay the price, and you have to understand. So we are ready to talk about all these things. It's talking about peace means talking about war, talking about conflict, talking about resistance. It's not to avoid the topic. It's to tackle the topic straight head on, but with the right principles, with the right understanding, and to have a principle. With all that, it means that when you come to the Quran, you understand that with the very deep challenges, what we need is with ourselves, within our family, with the way we deal is wisdom. and the world lacks wisdom. The second is commitment, and the world lacks commitment. We have a world today of people being victims. We are victims of them. We are victims of the powerful. We are victims from the of the capitalists. We are all victims. It's a world of victims. And Muslims are like this as well. We are victims. They don't like us. They discriminate us. No, we are tested, but we should be committed. The answer to victimhood is commitment. Commitment means آمنا, and this is what the Prophet ﷺ قُلْ آمَنْتُ ثُمَّ اسْتَقِمْ. Follow the right path. Follow the right path. So this is, and this means a commitment. And the last thing that I'm always repeating, because I see this as something which is one of the main challenges, we as Muslims are facing a psychological war. And to a psychological war, there is a psychological jihad. And the way I translate jihad is resistance and reform. And one of the main dimensions of this psychological jihad is to put us in a situation where we want to please the people. We want to please our fellow Americans, our fellow Europeans. And at the end, the only way to please our fellow citizens, people of other faiths, is to respect ourselves. And the way we respect ourselves is with some courage. Speak your mind. Say what you have to say, with wisdom and commitment. But this business that, and the Quran is always teaching us this, the prophets, the messengers, peace be upon them all, didn't come to please the people. They were not asking to the people, do you like what I say? Do you get me? They like what we say. They find our message. To be happy because they like is one thing. To do things for them to like is another thing. To be happy because they like it, it means that we found the right way to convey the message. But to do it with this purpose is wrong. We are not here to please the people. We are here to please Him. And if we want to please Him, it means some courage. Wisdom, commitment, and courage. Insha'Allah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.